Okay, my conversation 3 students. I know I have neglected your video until the last, I think if you recall, at the beginning of the semester, normally the most mature, most patient students that I have are conversation 3. Some of you panic a little bit because you're seniors, but you have nothing to worry about. I trust that you have enough experience as a student to be confident that your professor is going to deliver the material that you need. There's been a little bit of confusion about the exam schedule. It has to be manipulated a little bit because certain people have to leave and certain people have part-time jobs. So just hold on to your hats for a few more minutes, a few more hours. I'll see if I can make that work. In the event that if somebody has a conflict, then and it's due to my error, then we'll make up the exam. So there's nothing for you to be concerned about. Just do your best to prepare. The last chapter we did was 6. I mentioned about the cowboy movie, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Not the best movie I've ever seen. It is a classic cowboy movie, though. It has Clint Eastwood, and it has, high noon gunfights and stare downs and tumbleweeds and damsels in distress, and all the spaghetti western fundamentals are there. So if you want to just get a taste of what I guess the American public loved back in the 50s, because that was their preferred genre back then, I recommend watching the movie. It's very long and slow, though, for people who watch 10-second Instagram things and reels and shorts. It might test your patience. Moving to chapter 7, though, really, you're not talking about a movie in chapter 6, but you really just have to make a choice. Talk about something. It's a very wide open topic. Talk about something, because there are 3 characters in that movie. One is supposed to be the good guy, one's supposed to be the bad guy, and one the ugly. Choose one thing. You got 2 minutes to talk about whatever you want. Whether it's a person or a thing or an experience, that's up to you. Chapter 7, one of my favorite chapters, because really what we need in university and college, in high school, is we need some sort of financial education or instruction, introduction, because it takes a long time for you to realize how costly, how expensive, how to manage your budget, things coming in and out. All of the words that are in the textbook are pretty useful, so you can talk about yourself, you can talk about your own, money concerns, you can talk about an experience, like, there's all kinds of stuff there. We got all kinds. People love money. People love stuff. We have things called assets, like property and cars, and we have even like cryptocurrency, which is, digital money. We have paper money. We have gold. We have oil. We have stocks. And how do you get those things? Well, first of all, you got to get a job. You got to find an income. What exactly a job means these days is starting to change, but you need a source of income. You need money coming in. and then once you save that money, because that is the key really, once you save that money, then you can spend it. And you can spend it all on things that you like, whatever it is, delicious food, or beautiful clothing, or a puppy, I don't know, electronics, what is it, whatever you want. But ultimately, you have to save, important things like having a place to live and having not just delicious food, but having consistent, healthy food so that you can have a high quality of life is I think the most important aspect of money. I'm not a money obsessed person. I don't really want to be rich. I don't need a lot of money. For me, money gives me access to the things that I want. And saving money and having money in the bank or having assets, that improve my quality of life are, to me, that's the object of having money. If you want to have a Lamborghini, I don't have any good advice for you because I've never tried. I'm just trying to have balance, right? Balance my budget. I save money. I put money in retirement. I put money in education. I try to, use savings accounts, invest some of my money, but not too much, in different areas. I have a portfolio, and that's what you got to do. Diversity is good. Usually, you don't want only gold, because if the price of gold goes down, you're in big trouble. You don't want only stocks or only real estate, because when the market for that thing is weak and you need money, you don't have any. So, we say money is a liquid, and so when you have things that are valuable and you turn them into cash, you turn them into exchangeable currency, that process is called liquidation. You might hear that more often when a company goes bankrupt and they don't have enough cash, then they start selling property or machines or products, maybe at a lower price, in order to raise capital, what we call, cash capital. So you always want to have a certain amount of money available, right? You want to have a certain amount of money that is liquid, that can be moved. So typically, famous currencies, excuse me, famous stable currencies from big economies like the American dollar or the euro or the Japanese yen, or the British pound. They tend to be, when there's economic problems, people start turning their money into those currencies because they usually remain stable even when other places don't. Okay, so throughout the chapter there's a bunch of examples of spending and discounts and all these kind of things. You can talk about how you do bargain hunting. You can talk about how you have an internet shopping addiction, so you can't save any money. Any of those, as long as it's related to money and saving. There's a list of people that talk on page 82 about how different ways to save money. Income streams, you can have a job and you can get money from other areas that are not your primary job as well. Okay, so I think that's pretty straightforward. I need sorry, my nose is giving me problems as usual. you have to, like I said, you have to find the balance for between your spending and your earning, which it would help if you had some education and some experience. But personally, I just learned the hard way that you need to save some money because you never know what's going to happen. Right. So, step by step is the title for chapter 8. Essentially, what I want you to do is explain how to do something. Okay? So, steps are individual parts of a process. There's lots of different examples here. Certainly, making something, building something, using instructions would be an acceptable choice. You can do something different that, like, growing up is a process. It's a little bit more abstract or a little bit more it's a lot less condensed and precise. So when you're putting together a shelf, you have to follow the instructions to the letter and put the screws in the right area, and part A has to connect to part B and stuff, or it doesn't work. The more complicated the machine, the more complicated the instructions, and if there's something that's not doesn't fit, it doesn't work, it isn't in the right place, it just doesn't work. Things like airplanes, sophisticated machines, how many parts and pieces have to be put together properly to make that airplane fly and be safe and not crash. A million different pieces have to be put together, and if critical pieces are not assembled correctly, then the plane crashes. But you can talk about baking a cake. You can talk about something simple like assembling a set of Lego. But you could also talk about, the process of going from freshman to graduation in university, or doing your freshman year. It's a process. Becoming going from a high school student to an undergrad, a university student. That is a possibility. Specific instructions on how to put something together, or more abstract things, or more generalized things, more personal things, all of them are fine. But choose something that you can explain in detail so that I can follow your instructions without any trouble. They have a really good sort of survival recommendation paragraph article on page 94. That's one of the better ones, a little survival guide kind of thing. How to make fire using chocolates and a can and stuff. Interesting example, might give you some ideas. How to build a kite, how to fly a kite. Sometimes we say that's easy, but if you've ever flown a kite, it's not as easy as you think. You can talk about toys or any other object or experience. It's up to you. So pretty straightforward, wide open topic there. Number 9 is a very casual thing. It's, you say, what's the matter, when you're asking somebody who looks like they have a problem, like they're sad or upset, and there's something bothering them and you want to help. I'm not going to ask you what's the matter. Instead, I'm just going to ask you what you would do if you were trying to help somebody. How would you support somebody else? It can be conditional, like a possible situation that hasn't happened but could happen, or it can be something that actually probably the easiest way is a situation where you did help somebody and you gave advice, or you supported somebody, or counseled somebody, or cheered somebody up, whatever technique or whatever way you chose to do that, that would be fine. So there's lots of examples of situations. There's lots of different emotions you can use: blame, advice, fault, regret, wrong, depressed, hate, jealousy, loneliness. What should you do? What ought you to do? Like when you give advice, you're probably going to use these modifiers, right? I would not do that, or I would do that. A sort of recommendation, important word to use when you are trying to give somebody good advice. Okay, so that's the long and the short of that one. There's Connie's blog on page 107, which you can read over and see. She's looking for advice from somebody, and a few people on the internet offer advice, and you can make your own judgment which person is giving the best advice, right? Don't I mean, you can listen to the songs if you want, but I really think the songs are not very not very good quality, so I'm not going to bother discussing them. Now, the last chapter is a bit of a fun one. I allow all kinds of monsters, even monsters that exist. Dinosaurs count too. They did exist before, but some monsters don't exist, as far as I've been able to tell. Bigfoot and dragons and griffins and imugi and other mythological creatures. So you can choose any creature you want. You can tell the origin story of the myth, or you can tell like a famous episode, or you can tell, like, you can talk about Medusa, who's an individual gorgon with snakes in her hair, and when you look at her, she turns you to stone. But you only have 2 minutes, so make sure you focus, maybe not even just on a monster, but a particular monster, not just a type of monster, but maybe a particular monster who has a name, or has a particular episode, because it depends on, I mean, there's many different dragons. You can talk about Eastern dragons or Western dragons, or you can talk about black dragons or red dragons, or giant dragons, or Smaug, the dragon from The Hobbit. But probably you want to stick to something a little bit specific, more specific. Don't talk about all dinosaurs. Talk about a particular dinosaur, like a T-Rex or something. And, you know, they have things like the Tasmanian tiger and the Yeti, pterosaurs. There's even a platypus there. My favorite real animal that looks like a monster, even though it's pretty harmless. It is a strange creature. Pegasus was a flying horse, very famous from Greek mythology. Yeah, you choose which beast of legend or real life that you want. If it's a beast of legend, you might want to talk about why we have it. Is it because people see something they think exists, or is there a purpose for this? Is it part of a mythological, you know, part of culture? That's where that beast or monster comes from, or is it just a story to scare young children away from dangerous the dangerous mountains or forest, or real animals at night, something like that, right? Or falling through the ice, or other kinds of natural hazards that a person might want to avoid. So that's really like I said, any type of monster, even if it's is a monster like we would consider a monster if it was alive today, but died 65 million years ago, like a dinosaur, that would be fine. It's your choice. Okay? So we'll keep it simple, but as usual, you have to narrow it down, be able to express yourself in 2 minutes about something specific related to these topics. And there's one question from the first 5 topics and one question from the second 5, and that's all there is to it. Okay, so no need to be concerned. I think all of you speak English well. You just have to calm down and do your best. So I'll see you. I'll publish the schedule so you can see when you're supposed to present, and if there's an issue, when you're supposed to do your interview. If there's an issue, then we'll take care of it. Okay? See you in the exam.